Hello guys, welcome back to another video. As always, I am so excited to have you guys here. And if you're new here, hello, welcome. We're so happy to have you here. My name's Claire. I'm a naturopathic doctor, and on this channel, I really just like helping you guys feel more educated and empowered when it comes to your health. I talk a lot about nutrition. I talk a lot about eating a whole food-based diet that is high in protein, fiber, and micronutrients. So if that's interesting or relevant to your life, definitely click the subscribe button because we would love to have you guys here. On this day, I just started off breakfast really simple. I had a bunch of roasted vegetables in the fridge. This is some delicata squash, parsnips, and I just cooked that up with some ground beef. Of course, I added a big scoop of avocado. You guys know I love this breakfast because it has 10 grams of fiber, about 25 grams of protein, which is what I aim for at basically all of my meals. And then after breakfast, I got started on some meal prep. So on Sunday, I soaked some rice. This is white rice, mung beans, and black rice. So when you mix it all together and you soak it, it makes this beautiful purple color. And I just cooked that in my Instant Pot with some water and kombu. And I love adding kombu whenever I cook rice. It's just such an easy way to get more nutrients in. It's a really nutrient dense sea vegetable, a great source of iodine. And I didn't have enough counter space to put my Instant Pot, so I just had to cook it on the ground. So that was nice. And then while my rice was cooking, I made up some lunch. So this has been my latest hyperfixation meal. You guys have seen me make this so many times, but it's just eggs mixed with cottage cheese. And then I basically do like a quesadilla on the Ezekiel whole grain tortillas. I've talked about this meal before. It is such a go-to staple for me because it has about 12 grams of fiber, 25 grams of protein. I also had a bunch of roasted broccoli from the weekend and some leftover mushrooms and onions, so I added those in as well. I always like to add a veggie, especially a cruciferous vegetable. They are so great for liver health and liver detoxification. And then, like I said, I love using the Ezekiel sprouted tortillas. They are super high in fiber. They actually have 7 different whole grains in them, so they're great for getting in more plant diversity, something that I definitely struggle with. They also use some legumes as well, so great for getting in extra beans and legumes. So that was my lunch. Of course, I had it with a half an avocado, and like I said, this is just such a high protein, high fiber lunch. So by the time I was done lunch, my rice was done cooking. I definitely think I slightly overcooked it. It definitely turned into more of a sticky rice. I also added some edamame just to add some more plant diversity to my diet, some more beans and legumes. I'm trying to get more of those in and to add a little bit more protein. And then for dinner, I had marinated tofu. If you guys are looking for the recipe, it's in my basics guide. So I will link that somewhere in the description. But I just roasted that in the oven, and then I had a bunch of shiitake mushrooms. You guys know I love shiitake mushrooms. They are just such a great source of choline along with eggs. So I sauteed those up, and my vision for this dinner was kind of a sushi rice bowl. So I warmed up some of my rice on the stovetop, and then I added some of my tofu, the shiitake mushrooms. I also added some avocado, and then I try and eat fermented foods every day. So I did a big scoop of kimchi, and that was my dinner. I also had a few dates with peanut butter as dessert, and that was my day on Monday. And you guys know I always go into the clinic on Tuesday mornings. Lately, I have been loving bringing this high protein oatmeal that I've been making. It's got apples, blueberries. I also make it with eggs just to bump up the protein a little bit more. I also add some Greek yogurt, and here I took it with some almond butter. I didn't show me making this because I meal prepped it over the weekend, but I will link a video with me making that specific recipe. And then you guys know I always get home in the early afternoons on Tuesdays. I always want something quick and easy for lunch. This day in particular was an especially full day, so I wanted something very easy. I just toasted up some sourdough rye bread that I had. I mashed up some avocado with some cottage cheese and added some smoked salmon on top. I love this meal. The bread is super high in fiber, plus the fiber from the avocado, and then you have the protein coming from the cottage cheese and a little bit from the smoked salmon and a little bit of omega-3 fatty acids from the smoked salmon as well. Ideally, I would have liked to have a little bit more vegetables with this meal. You could also do just a very very simple side salad, that would be delicious. But on this particular day, I just didn't have the time or the energy to do that. I do think I ended up having a kiwi on the side though that I did not show. Anyway, moving on to dinner, I was trying to think about how I could use up the rest of the rice, and I was thinking it was kind of like sticky rice, so I decided to try and make a sushi roll thing. I started by mashing up some of the leftover tofu with a little bit of very finely chopped kimchi. I mixed that all with a little bit of tahini just to give it a sesame flavor and to also help hold everything together. And then I just seasoned my rice with some rice vinegar and a little bit of salt. And then I just laid that out along with the tofu mixture that I had made. I had some leftover roasted kabocha squash in the fridge, so I added that as well. I also added some avocado. My rolling skills are not the best. I'm a little bit out of practice, but I just made 2 rolls and then basically cut them in half. I wasn't gonna try cutting them into little pieces because I thought that they would just fall apart. And I just had those with some tamari on the side to dip. And that was my dinner on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, I just had some more of the oatmeal. I've really been liking this oatmeal. I'm trying to get more berries into my diet. This is just such an easy way. Plus, I love this one because it's a really easy way to get, again, that 10 plus grams of fiber and about 25 grams of protein in at breakfast. And then I don't always show coffee, but I have a coffee every day. I always make it with my Elmhurst cashew milk. I just don't always film it. And then for lunch, I just had another one of my egg quesadillas because they are just so easy and so good.
But I could use a refuel tonight. Been away from home, but you feel right, right. Galactic touch with deja vu. Better skies that made us lose sight of potential. But when I'm near you, baby boo, you got me thinking.
And then for dinner, I was thinking about different ways that I could use up the rest of the tofu, and I was really feeling like a noodle stir fry. So I grabbed some brown rice noodles at the grocery store, and then I had this bag of coleslaw mix in my fridge that I really needed to use up. It just has purple cabbage, white cabbage, and carrots. So I started by sauteing that up as well. And then once my noodles were done cooking, I just gave them a rinse. I always do this whenever I'm cooking rice noodles. I just find that it helps to rinse off the excess starch and it stops them from sticking as much. I also added in some edamame just for some extra fiber, extra protein, along with the tofu. And then I basically built my sauce in the pan. So I did some tamari, garlic powder, a little bit of maple syrup just for some sweetness, but you can totally leave that out. I also added in some peanut butter because I was kind of going for a peanut sauce, added in my noodles, and yeah, this was a delicious dinner. It kind of gave me like pad thai vibes, but super, super delicious and very quick and easy.
Stars for a sign. So could you stay a while? 'Cause I need you, baby. It's so vague.
And then on Thursday, my boyfriend was going to be over for dinner and we wanted to do our classic sweet potato, roasted broccoli, and salmon. But I knew that I was going to be in the clinic until late on Thursday. So Thursday morning, I just prepped the sweet potatoes. This is basically how I make all of my roasted root veggies, sweet potatoes, squash, all of them. I always season them with avocado oil, salt, and Ceylon cinnamon. And then I'll just roast them in the oven at about 400 degrees until they're cooked through. I took them out and just put them in the fridge. And then that way, all we had to do after work was warm them up. And then my boyfriend picked up salmon from the fish market. You guys know I like to have fatty fish at least a few times a week just to get in more omega-3s. This ended up being a huge piece, so I had lots for leftovers the next day as well. I think it was about 1.7 pounds, and I find if I get really good quality salmon, all I need is a little bit of salt. I actually really like the natural flavor of salmon. This was a huge piece, so I did have to cut it in half. It was a little bit hard to flip. And we also made some roasted broccoli. You guys have seen me make this so many times, but I just roasted it with some avocado oil, garlic, and salt. And that was our dinner. Of course, I topped mine all off with a little bit of tahini, and that was Thursday. And on Fridays, I do go into the clinic for the full day. So I bring my breakfast and my lunch. For breakfast, I just took the rest of the oatmeal that I had left over with some peanut butter and Greek yogurt. And then for lunch, you guys have seen my mini crock pot. I love using this because we don't have a microwave at work. And I love having warm lunches in the winter. So I just took some of the leftover salmon, broccoli, and sweet potato. I also brought a little bit of tahini as well to have that with it. And then because it was such a gloomy Friday, I did treat myself to a latte on my way to work. And then after work, I did end up going out for drinks and dinner with one of my friends. You guys know I really like to keep my alcohol intake to a minimum, but I did have some drinks while we were out. We also had these carrots on a whipped tahini dressing. They were absolutely amazing. We also got the steak tartare. They came on some sourdough. The pasta was absolutely delicious. So it was like a lamb pasta, and then we split a half chicken. This was probably the best chicken I've ever had. It was so tender. And then you guys know I don't really film on the weekends, but I always like to include some clips. This weekend, we actually went over to my parents' house. My dad made black bean burgers for dinner. We had that with some salad, beets, and then we just ended up playing some card games. And then, of course, on Sunday, we just made our normal veggie scramble with some sourdough toast. That does bring us to the end of the video. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you got some meal ideas or inspiration. If you liked the video, definitely give it a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!